What's going on, YouTube? The rat race. This rat race. What is all this rat race stuff about, man? It's crazy that now I'm in an environment to where I'm hearing that talked about more because I'm around people who've experienced certain things in their life, um, and they wanted to change. And it's certain things where their experience was a little bit negative to, life threatening. And, these terms, rat race, matrix, escape, working, like all this stuff that, like impacts you, right? Like people all came to a certain point in their life at different ages. And I've seen it from as early as 20, some in their teens, which is a blessing, um, to, people in their 70s, which is also a blessing, right? You know, um, because people can live their whole life and not realize what they've been doing is a trap. You know what I'm saying? So even if you're on the older end of the spectrum, and it clicked, it's clicked for you, you know. So just every day that passes while I'm out here, right, and not necessarily in Southeast Asia or necessarily in Thailand, but I'm outside of the states. You know, I'm outside of an environment where it's killing me to just basically live. Every day that I'm outside that type of environment, I'm like, wow. It's every day that I thought or that I've spent being in that environment that's just delayed some of these blessings that are not just, deserved by us, but like it's owed to us. You know what I'm saying? Like when you've worked so hard and worked so much, especially when you've had pure intentions, especially when you've done things the right way, especially when you sacrifice time, money, when you sacrifice health, there's certain things that should just be owed to us, you know? And it's like what you want out of life, you have to get no matter what anybody is telling you, no matter what your boss has told you, you know, no matter what your mom has told you, no matter what your spouse, and this is what's heavy, what your spouse has told you, nah, let's just figure it out. Let's just stay out here. We're comfortable. You're making good money. You're of importance. You're a leader in your community. You're a leader in your job. We have family around us. We're safe here. We don't know anything about out there. These are the conversations people have had and are currently having and will have in the future when certain people start, quote unquote, waking up, realizing that this one way I've been living ain't it. And not even ain't it for most people. It's not even correct. I mean, we could have one conversation where it's not it. This is not enough. This is depressing. What's my options? But then there's the other side to this conversation is like, no, this is not even right. It's not even ain't it. This ain't right, which can be more extreme, which can be more radical, right? Which can be, you're a certain a level of progression, at least mentally, when you're like on this path of, I guess, it's interference. This is not right, you know? And every day I spend out here, in conjunction with every day I don't spend in America, I'm like, this is not right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have been living wrong. It's not like we've been living not enough. It's just like, man, we've been killing ourselves. Like, we've mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, gosh, draining our light being. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything around us is physical, you know? But the stuff we go through is not seen, Like, everything first manifests from energy, from vibe, from light, from sound. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens. That's what's been happening. That's what's been happening in the States. It's like this thing is proficient. The rat race is magnificent. It keeps us all stuck. It keeps us all sick. It keeps us thinking that the cup that is half full is enough instead of half empty. You know, I just in the last couple of years, I've seen a lot of progression with not just the states. Like we don't have to generalize it. I've seen a lot of progression just in economics. Like I've seen a lot of progression in education, or the willingness or the ability to be educated, the willingness or to the ability to, maintain or grow finances. Just all of this stuff. Like it's not just been like plateaued, it's been decreasing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a reason why millions, right? We're gonna hit 10 plus million American citizens not living in the states at least majority of the year any longer, indefinitely. It's not going to be happening no more, and it's by design. Like it's this is you're not changing the system. You're not changing the matrix. You're not changing the rat race. You got to find a way to escape it. You got to find a way to bounce, to leave it. You know, if you have a remote job and you can get to a point where if you have to cut pay or you have to go get a skill to find a different position within your same company to work in a fully remote position, right? With obviously, fully remote is no means of travel, but if you have to start to where travel is limited, you know what I'm saying? Then we got to take these steps. If you're in a retired, status where the government is graciously and beautifully for now cutting you a check because you did so yo's, then move, man. Like you guys, man and woman, you guys got, the whole world is your oyster. You got so many options. So many options. There's so many retirement visas. There's so many digital nomad visas, you know. And if you don't want to have a visa, you could just, backpack. You know what I'm saying? I know people like they assume they want a sense of stability. That's what we've been told. And that's not wrong with being like renting or buying a house, apartment, staying somewhere for years, decades upon decades. If you buy, you give it to your children, right? Generational wealth, right? You want to put your best foot forward for the children, people that's to come. But just think about everything you have to go through. First, think of, is the sacrifice enough? Is the investment worth it? You know what I'm saying? Um, the fact that just in the last like 4 or 5 years that I've personally worked next to people who were not about to retire, who were retired, who who by technicality is still retired, but they have to get a second check. It ain't nothing wrong with a second check. I'm not talking about not feeling the need or being in a place to get a second stream of income. It's getting a second check from working a 9 to 5 that you retired from. And that's like, man, this is difficult. It's difficult for me to see that. I'm in my 20s looking at someone who's in their 50s and 60s who's escaped work a couple months, even a couple years, and had to come back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, is this what it looks like? This is my examples. You know, that's my examples. And I'm like, nah, it just don't make sense. We process it in our head. We wrote it on the drawing board. We're just looking at everything, and it's like this don't make sense. And I'm talking about us. I'm talking about like myself and my wife. Like we're looking at this. This don't make sense. And it's like now all these people that we're meeting who's well traveled, more traveled than us, man. It's beautiful. It's like they saw it. They saw it for themselves. You think like you're the only one going through something, going through a change, or going through like, you know, something euphoric or something, with an epiphany, like, but you're not. We're small scale, but you're not the only one. Like I said, it's 10 million plus people who's going to be living out the states, right? The psyche behind it is like, wow, but there's still another close to 400 million people who've succumbed to it or will succumb to it because they're not at the age of working yet, right? They're still babies, they're still kids in school, right? But these are, it's just a machine. And guys, the matrix, this machine works by volume, mass cattle like volume. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't care if one, two, five, 10, 1,000 of us unplug. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't care about that. It's just like a company. Like, think of it. Think of what I'm saying. It's just like a company, right? Or a church. A company. Churches are companies. Disagree or not. But just think of a company where it needs people to promote or work the engine, right? If I have a company that's 10,000 strong and I have 500 people leave, well, I mean, that's only 5% of my company. I'm still good, especially the people who are higher up. You know what I'm saying? That's why all these companies are laying off 5 to 10%, 15% of their workforce. I mean, they still got 85%, and that doesn't mean it's an indefinite layoff, right? Outside of the AI switch, and that's what's happening, right? The scaling up of generative AI and stuff, replacing human like production. Outside of that, people are always replaceable. People are always going to want to go back to the States, right? I'm trying to just pair the two. People are always going to live in the States. It's people that we've met in these different countries who are willing to still at least visit, if not move indefinitely to the States, right? And everybody has to do their own experience, you know. So that's never what we want to do. We never tell people, don't do this, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Oops. We never want to tell people, don't do this, don't do that. We want to have people go through it yourself. Even when I'm talking and I experience things myself, even if I'm in the same setting as my wife, I want her to experience it. I want her to feel it. It's just different when you feel it yourself, you know. But it is proficient. You get sucked in. If you're not dotting your T's and crossing your I's, right? I like to mix that little cliche saying up a bit because it's that important to really maneuver. It's the grind, it's the hustle. You always got to figure something out every single day, almost every hour of the day, where you can't live in the moment, where it's not healthy, it's not conducive, it's not profitable, it's not incentivized to live in the moment, to live in your youth, you know, to live where you still have your mind intact, you know. It's not profitable. It's not profitable for the higher ups, for the puppeteers. It's not profitable for the matrix for you guys to do this stuff. So you got to bow out. At some point, the ultimate goal is bowing out. And how do you bow out? Well, what do I have to lose? What am I gaining and what am I losing? And when you're starting to figure that out, right, you're like, okay, maybe this rat race is not for me. But don't get caught up in people who are next to you. If you're going through something, you're going through at least a change in your mind. If you want to change your pace, if you're like starting to see the writing on the wall, like bludgeon paint, like don't let people next to you, neighbors, friends, pastors, teachers, coaches, parents, siblings, your children, kind of debunk that vibe you're getting, that feeling. That gut intuition is our soul, man. It's our spirit. It's the smarts before books. We can't ignore it. It's a level of discernment we have to kind of grow in, but it's almost clear as day, for a lot of people. But for most, it won't be. So the matrix in that is inevitable. Most people won't unplug from it. But you can't let what most people do derail your intuition, you know. And we've talked to people who were like, I gotta convince this, I gotta do this with my person, like, I gotta see how I'm gonna deal with my job, or what I'm saying, like people are like going through this stuff psychologically, and then they gotta, figure out how they're gonna physically manifest it, and that's hard, that's the power of the matrix. The power is not just finding out or just unplugging yourself or just like figure out your escape or figure out your option A, B, C, D, and E. The power of the matrix is not allowing people to take you out on your way out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's powerful to me. Like having your mind set. That's kind of step one, right? I guess step two would be okay, you have your route, you have your plan of action, and you have your different kind of your options within those plans. Like I said, plan A through E. But then step three is kind of like the final boss in a way, is like, you know, people, you start coming to people. I made my mind. This is what I'm gonna do. This is my time frame I have left here, you know, and I'm done with it. And then you kind of want to hear people's thoughts because we're empathic people, especially if we're talking our family. And then you get people, family, not even knowing they're in it. That's a formula. That's a process, right? By design. And I know you're in it is trying to pull you back. Why would somebody want? Just think of this. This is why the Matrix is real. Y'all may not believe in this stuff, but it's real. Why would somebody? Why would a family member, a friend, somebody close to you, someone you broke bread with, someone you shared your bed with? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would people, who you deem close to your life, who you deem impacted your life, especially in a positive way, want to hold you back? You get what I'm saying? Like knowing that you could be more healthy, knowing that your mind could be more free, stress free, knowing that you can have a path for at least, economic resistance or more financial stability, right? Knowing you could grow in more culture and be more humble and gracious in your plight in life because you now are becoming well traveled, right? That's opening your mind, right? That's allowing you to possibly give back, right, to a broadened community. You get what I'm saying? Like, why would people want to tell you no if you're going to be at least attempting to endeavor in that? That's a system, that's a design, that's a formula, it's a process. Dude, it's all that. It's part of it. And that's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing. It's proficient. The rat race is magnificent, you know? And so I hope that people, I'm not talking to people who don't understand it, who don't want to escape, who don't want to venture out, take that risk. I'm not talking to people. This is not for you. This is not for y'all. I'm talking to people who are at least thinking about it, who is like, man, these last 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 years, it's been difficult, it's been different. I've seen a shift. I'm targeting those people. So if you guys seen my channel, this is the first time you saw black and you're feeling that way, hit a sub, hit the like button, drop a comment if you're feeling that way. Because it's real, man. It's real. And you know what? When you start maneuvering and getting to the other side, when you're getting your ducks in a row and then you get that exit, and then you start seeing the benefits right there, you know, your sickness starts dissipating, right? You see yourself having a little bit more money on you. You get what I'm saying? You seeing yourself to being able to be a little bit more free in your day. Like you're just starting to see little stuff that you've thought about while you were kind of more in it, while you were at work, while your boss was yelling at you, while you were going through it with your spouse because you wanted to change a pace, because you wanted to sell the house. You get what I'm saying? Like now you kind of see it, and I'm not talking about breaking up relationships. I don't want to get into that realm of thinking all the way. But like I said earlier, what are you willing to gain and what are you willing to lose? How much do you want that peace? What do you want that peace to come from, So um anyway, guys, I hope y'all got something from this. And let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know some facts. But it's happening. People are getting tired of this shit because it's your life. You're not respawning. You don't die. You just come right back and restart. This ain't a video game. This is real life. So you gotta be able to take control of your life, be the CEO of your own life. Check out my ebook, Own Your Time, Working Remotely While Funding Your Life. I have 12 to 13 platforms with 10 million plus job postings where you could work remote and fund your life on the side, man. You know, let's create our own retirement. Let's create our own passive income while we're dealing with our cost of living in the now. But let's have a little freedom while we do the basics. So, as always, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Keep maneuvering and be at peace. Peace.